Okay, so I may speak over myself a few times because that's just how I am. But today I watched the little presentation that they did in Elizabethton, North Carolina, and I picked up on a few things that really bothered me as someone that is an ex-probation parole officer and someone that is an ex-counselor, someone that helped people for the majority of their life look and make better decisions, take a 5-minute pause and find the best way through something rather than just an impulse behavior or uh, an emotional garble through something. I taught them how to stop, look around them, and give themselves at least 3 options and which was the best, most viable option that was going to benefit the most people, including themselves. And that helped them start to learn how their behaviors affected other people's behaviors and how they could improve their behavior with just small micro steps. And so I watched this presentation from these political parties and these powerful people, and the first thing I pick up on is that they're not there to bring any information. The information's already out. They were there simply to create an emotional rebuttal from the crowd, and create a loud, verbal, scary, emotional yell back at the people that are trying to navigate this very touchy subject that have badges and work in the court system. But the biggest thing that I saw them trying to do is they were trying to validate the actions of a criminal by stating these things. They were stating these words. He feared for his life. To say that their actions, and anyone's actions, are valid because they thought another human was going to stop their life, that's one of those preemptive thoughts. And you have to be careful when you give yourself the ability to act on a preemptive thought, because if you don't have the behavior behind it, if you don't have the cues, the behavior, and the mindset to show somebody's malicious, malevolent intent, then you can't turn around and say, I was really afraid for my life. What happened in this situation is that these cops do not they do not police on preemptive thought. They always arrive to the scene normally after the fact, after whatever behavior has occurred, and they have to play cleanup. They then have to put the steps together at the scene of the crime to say what factually happened by the evidence. If they roll up onto someone that they have to arrest, it is because they have a warrant, a piece of paper that a judge has signed that says this person is no longer conducive to be within society and must be removed from society, and we have to deal with this charge, and they have to pay their price for this charge, either with time in or supervision on paper or something else, and then they can go back into society. But they are to be removed from society so we can handle this. So these officers are following directives based on criminal behavior, criminogenic tendencies, normally long-term criminal behavior, and behavior that has already been done and that the criminal knows they've done, and 9 times out of 10 know they have a warrant for. So for the criminal to then say, I feared for my life, is a complete... And for people to say, oh, he probably feared for his life, it's a complete patsy move, because if they truly feared for their life and they truly feared the police and the power the police had, they would not lead a criminal lifestyle. They would not put themselves into these situations on numerous events and continue to do so. And then when they come face to face with police, they would not... It's a helicopter about that close to my house. Then when they come face to face with police, they would not certainly then be brazen enough to think, I can get out of this, I can run. their cognition is warped. And their cognition is warped because in our society we are doing something that we're doing something that we've not seen done before. And we are isolating, and we are dealing with people on a preemptive mindset nature. We don't deal with people face to face. We don't deal with people action to action. We don't deal with people and gather our information when we are physically acting with them. We gather information online, which most of the time is false and fictitious and, somebody putting on a show. So we gather a lot of fake information. But that's how we shape our world now. And we shape our world by that false information, and then we preemptively think what these people are capable of. So if somebody's got somebody out there that they are having a hostile issue with, they will watch them scroll through their stuff and think that what they're seeing is true and go, okay, well, based on this, I can assume that they will do this. When, okay, we already know that what you present online is normally false. So therefore, what you're thinking is going to preemptively happen from the intelligence you're gaining, which is false, is also false. So we're creating this world in our head to where we get to create our own worst monster. And it's all fake. It's all fake because it's built on fake information. If you think that what people present on social media is true, you're a special kind of stupid. You would be one of those ghosts that we'd have to put the pool noodles on their heads so you wouldn't get stuck in the fence every day. The information that people put on the internet is to make them look in some way superior to where they feel they may be inferior. So if someone thinks they're ugly, they're only going to take glamour shots. If someone thinks they're poor, they're only going to show off their assets. You've got to understand this. Human nature is so convoluted, and at the base of it, it's not, but we make it this way. We make it this way. And so when we allow people to look at the people that are taking our combined laws and rules that we created as a community, and they're tearing them apart based on what they think happens, based on normally false information or highly emotional information or information that's not yet gone through the court system, then we normally end up at a false logical consequence, and we do damage to our society. So what we need to do is understand that if there's already criminal behavior, there's already probable cause, then cops have to advance with safety. Law enforcement has to get involved. They have a warrant. They've been told they must be removed from society to deal with this issue that they've created on their own. That information is verified through the court system, through the law enforcement system. We know we have a warrant. So they try to get this person to say, hey, you have a warrant. We're going to have to take you in. The behavior of that person at that point in time will dictate the response of the cops. The cops don't go out there and go, hey, we're going to skewer them shitless and then we're going to fill them full of bullets. I worked with cops for years. Never heard one say that. It's not how they roll. They want to have the best rapport with the community because they play a really important role in that community. And they don't like to have tense situations because that leads to more altercations and more people hurt. So they want to have really good feedback with their communities. So why are communities turning on cops? It's not really communities turning on cops. The media propaganda makes it look like communities are turning on cops, but it's not communities turning on cops. It is highly the people that live in a fictitious intellectual world that can dismiss factual logic and that will disassociate from valid information and will create their own world and their own way of viewing what happens. And in doing so, they control who is turned into the monster, who is the heroine or the victim, and who should be rewarded, who should be harmed. And I just want you all to know that if you're one of these people that are constantly badgering the cops, trying to stand up for somebody else, and you feel like you become a superhero standing up and doing these things, what you're actually doing is just trying to fill some kind of void in your life that you're not filling by getting involved in this. And I know that bad things happen with cops. I know that there are bad cops. I've met a few in my time. But 1 to 2 bad cops we can handle. But when we get thousands of people trying to preemptively have an idea of what's going on with no factual basis, no logical rationalization, then we end up with people that are just going out into society to create their own worst monster so that they can battle their own worst monster and feel better about themselves, and hell and high water for everybody else. As long as I feel better about myself, I think I've done something and I've slain my dragon. But what you don't understand is your dragon might create 25 others for other people to deal with. Your dragon might set off a horrible domino effect to where 25 other people get caught up in that emotion and then do something and get harmed as well. That is why we cannot live in this state of psychosis where we think we can go internal and create our own little world where we get to rule and make all these decisions. We have to be locked into the foundation of reality, the shared reality that we have as a society. And we do have a shared reality. And I think that there are a lot of people that don't want to be part of that shared reality for a number of reasons. I think they're selfish. Or I think they're completely ignorant. And that's why they don't want to be in touch with reality. Because reality, our shared reality, is not serving them in the way they want to be served. And so they detach and they find a way to serve themselves. And I'll have one way to show this. Everybody's like, oh, Elizabeth, well, people are not detached these days. They're not detached. They're fighting harder than ever for things they believe and for people they love. Really? No, they're not. No, they're not. Because when I watched that Bryant girl in the body cam footage, I cried. I cried because I thought, my God, what kind of life did she have to go through to make a young woman of that age so hostile? Because you cannot be hostile to other people unless you're willing to be hostile to yourself. So before she ever thought about harming someone else, what has this young lady done to herself? Physically, emotionally. What has she been through that created this hostility and this anger and this desire and this justification that I can harm someone else? I am so angry, I am allowed to do this. What trauma was there? We'll never know. We'll never know because nobody will take accountability for that now. Nobody will ever take accountability for that. But as she lay there after she was shot, I watched that grown man that kicked that girl in the head. The first thing he did. Now here would be my reactions if it was somebody I didn't even know that was shot. I would rush to that person and hold their hand and be with them as they passed. Because that had to be terrifying for that young woman. I felt so bad for her because she was alone. Only one officer knelt down beside her. I think a second joined him after a few seconds. But not one person that was there, that was in association with what was going on, tried to comfort her as she passed. So you tell me why we can detach and show such callous and just deny any emotion and then scream their name for 3 years and demand justice when we couldn't even give them 5 seconds of our kindness and compassion as they lay dying for the shit that we stirred in our own freaking pot. That young lady died alone and scared and terrified. And mark my words, to have been capable of that behavior, she had been through some stuff. And no one cared about her entire life to get her help. She became able to identify people in her mind, in her own accord, make them who she thought they needed to be, and then treat them how she thought she needed to treat them. She created her own worst monsters and was able to slay her own worst monsters and her dragons. And that killed her. That distance from reality, that detachment from our shared social reality is what did her in. And if she had had love, compassion, and commitment from somebody, from some family, someone that could have showed her the ripple effect of behavior, the ripple effect of emotional congruence, she may still very well be here today. But I can't sit there and allow people to milk this situation and cry and be emotional when no one knelt by her, no one held her hand, no one comforted her as she lay dying. But now everyone wants to use her in their world, in their little world, in their mind, for whatever benefits them. But the people that have the shared social reality that go, okay, this girl had some problems. These problems led to this big encounter, and this encounter led to her dying, and we've got to learn how to not handle this. We're being told, you shut up. You don't get to say these things. You don't get to have a word in this. Only we know what happened. That's a crock of crap. That is a crock of crap. Because we all live on this earth, we all breathe the same air, we all share the same space, and we are all handling the same emotions, and we're all handling the same issues. You know, it's a roller coaster ride. I guarantee you that right across the county, there was a white family having a similar ordeal and maybe just handled it better. There could have been a Latino family in the next county over having a similar issue, just handled it better. We're all handling these things. This is not an isolated incident. It is not a racial motivated thing. The only thing that I can see that is racially motivated is the true desire to detach from everyone else and to really live in this world as opposed to the shared social world that we're supposed to live in. You can't live in here. If you live in here and you treat everybody as your own worst monster, you cannot function. You're going to be in a state of psychosis. You're going to end up with sociopathy and antisocial tendencies, and you're not going to be able to function. And we're almost there, and we need to stop telling our kids it's okay to live in here. Stop handling things here. Stop, go to bed and think about how you'll handle it if he does this, if he does that. I mean, just, how about we get together with his parents and we say we have a problem here, and let's handle this so the boys don't end up having, a beef later in life when their testosterone kicks in. Parents, how about we do that? So, I've just been very upset about all of this. I see such a lack of parenting, of compassion, of true social skills. But I see them screaming and demanding, these people that are in these mad mobs, I see them screaming and demanding everything from everyone else while they isolate. Don't think about our shared reality. Live in here and are creating this mad world that they think they have to handle, fight. And they're so out of touch. They're so out of touch. And we're allowing them to shape the generations to come and to shape our law enforcement system, to shape our judicial system. I'm the most compassionate person. I want to help everybody. But I also know that the further you retreat in here, the more dangerous you are. So heads up, people. Social media has turned us into a bunch of nitwit mind worms. And we can't even think or process information because we don't understand information anymore. All we understand is what people present. That's not true information. It's just presentment. It's just folly. It's just play. It's just theater. But we're using that false information and we're taking it as real information. And we think we're shaping a world. And all we're doing is creating this mad narrative in our mind that is based on untrue events, untrue emotions, untrue statements, and then we weaponize our emotions and we say, oh, we have to handle this. When if we were lashed into reality and we saw somebody doing that stupid stuff online, we go, well, that's great that she could stand sideways and suck her tummy in and look like Tyra Banks. That's awesome. I no ill will to her whatsoever. Oh wait, she said that, look, oh, mentioned me, I've lost 50 pounds. How about you? I've not lost 50 pounds. If you have to put me down to feel better about yourself, perhaps we don't need to spend time together. And that's it. Instead of, oh, that bee. No, she did not. Now everybody's thinking I've gained all this weight, and they're thinking I'm going to look dumpy at the next family event. And they're thinking that I'm going to lose my man, and here we go. We're creating our own worst monster, and we're going to be in a vicious war with this woman over something so petty. So petty as a very good angle smoke and mirrors picture on some stupid social media base. Stupid. 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 People love each other. Love each other beyond your capacity to love yourself. Train yourself to give even when you think you've given all you can give. Find it to give more. And understand that people will do you wrong. And understand that you're going to have hard times in life. But understand that never does a hard time justify validating physical harm to somebody else. If we just would treat everyone else the way we wanted to be treated, the world would rotate more effectively. And I know most of my videos are lighthearted and funny, but this is beginning to really trouble me, because this is how nations fall. This is how wars begin. This is how a shared psychosis can take over a nation and result in horrible, horrible, horrible things that we've seen before, that we should be warned about. But again, we're stuck in here now. We're not in shared realities. We're stuck in here. So we're not paying attention to actual factual knowledge. I'm just really scared. I'm really scared of what the children of today are going to see in the next few decades. Because I already think that the touch with reality has been lost. And that we are so easily manipulated that pretty soon people are just merely going to be shadow figures for political parties and workhorses for people that need them. I mean, we're emptying ourselves voluntarily of our emotional capacity to love and our soul. We're just giving it away. Just giving it away. So that we can have a little bit of anger and feel good for a little bit. We give ourselves away. It's scary. MommaLiz out.